Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit BeWellTexas.org.
Hello and welcome to another episode of March to the Pod, presented by Eternal Roofing. For those of you watching us live on Twitter or YouTube or on Facebook, you just saw a new intro video. We're starting to become professional around here, Ben.
Only took us about a year and a half. Just give us some time. We'll get there.
It did. We also no longer have the logos in the background. We're going with whatever the heck is either blurred out or on the wall. Which for me are the magazines and Cotton Bowl stuff, and one of my favorite quotes. Do what?
All I see is the word massive. That's all I can see.
The best revenge is massive success. It's Frank Sinatra said that.
There we go. I just like massive, though. That's a good quote.
Yes, anything with massive is always a good quote. And this is that season 2, episode 10. We are on the bye-week blowout. We apologize for last week. Real life got in the way for Ben. He had to actually work. He's not like me. He don't get to call this work. So unfortunately for you, Ben, I have the advantage there. This week, We're recapping the Cats' win over UTEP. We're going to give you updates on volleyball and soccer teams. We have midseason report cards, awards for the Gridiron Cats. We got a lot of PFF stats in there today. So if you like some analytics, the third part of this show, the third leg of this show is going to be where you want to be. I'm your host and producer, Corey Hogue, the non-FBS insider at Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Find me on your favorite social media channels at Corey Hogue Sports. It's all one word, CORYHOGUE Sports. The knowledge of this show is provided by the creator and manager of Sports of SHSU. Again, all one word, on Twitter and Instagram. He's the chief operating officer of the Cat Fund, which we will get into that later. They got a lot of stuff going on. And he's a proud Bearcat alum, Ben Sorrells. Ben, I don't know if you saw last week. Well, actually, I know you did because I made sure you did. But after the Cats win over UTEP, one Gabriel Hogue was so impressed that the next day in school, he made a drawing to the Bearcats coach. And if you're watching on one of the streams, you're seeing it right there. It says, from Gabe to Bearcats coach. And let me tell you, he's 8. Pretty damn adorable, Ben.
It is. Hang it in the Louvre. Hang it in Coach Keeler's office.
Yeah, it's a listen, there's a lot of comments I could give about that, but you sounded it out and did the best he could, and I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's incredible.
I love the like orange guy with the, massive hands and the face coming down like, yes, we're winning football.
It's not as scary or intimidating as our 1960s mascot, though. It's close.
Well, this apparently was his rendition of the mascot.
Spot on, honestly, especially if he's looking at the old one.
Exactly. Hey, before we go any further, we want to give a big shout out to our friends over at Eternal Roofing and a big thank you for sponsoring the show. If you're watching, you can see the numbers to call and the email down at the bottom of the screen. If you're listening, get that pen and pad ready. I'll be giving that information to you here shortly. Eternal Roofing, they are your experts for commercial and residential roofing and general contracting throughout the Hill Country and Houston area. They offer free detailed roof inspections. They give you fast professional service. They don't pressure you with the sales pitch. They have exceptional workmanship warranties. Only use the best. They use CertainTeed shingles known for their ability to resist the weather, which, by the way, if you're in Florida right now, is really important. They last a long time unless you're in Florida right now. And they just look great. And by the way, if you're in Florida right now, or you know people in Florida, I don't know if Taylor and his crew will go there, but they might even have a reference for you. So give them a call. If the Montgomery County office, Taylor's going to love hearing that one. Area code 936-215-8539. Hill Country office, area code 830-251-5673. Or you can email Taylor at eternalroofingtx.com. He may become a national brand after this, Ben. That might be what happens.
Yeah, and I know he's staying busy, actually. I got a call from my buddy Matt. Some people know Matt St. Amour, big Sam Houston fan. He's got some work done from Eternal Roofing. He called me this week and sounds like he's getting some more work done by Eternal Roofing because of some damage he's got on his roof. So good to see people utilizing Taylor and Eternal Roofing, and good to hear from Matt, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, always great to hear from Matt. He is such a huge fan. It's great to know that Taylor is staying busy out there. There's lots of work to keep people busy, and if you are in the path of that monstrosity coming ashore tonight there in Florida, I hope you're out of the way. Because if you're still in the path, I mean, you had time. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah,
you had time. Hey, Ben, big couple weeks. Missing last week. I know you were really upset about this because you really wanted to talk about that win over Texas State. And if you watch the intro video at the very end, did you see the hat?
Yeah. Well, and Corey, speaking of the hat, if you are a Cat Fund member, you're going to get, we've got some merch, or not merch, but a sticker coming your way with something similar to that. And we also may have just gotten the rights to the logo to use for a hat. So stay tuned for that. So we might have some more info on that we might be able to sell coming up.
Cat Fund is later, man. You're blowing it out.
and missing last week was tough. I actually had to watch the UTEP game on a flight. I was on 4 flights last week and in meetings all week. So it was crazy, but glad to be back home and be able to watch the Cats from home and be able to get back on the podcast. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, at least the podcast is this week. The Cats won't be on TV for another week because they've got to bye. But we're going to go over that you were watching on an airplane or in airports last week is that win over UTEP. It all started with Jay Ducker and this 39-yard touchdown run.
Player long hold over here as Ducker gets the carry, and he's off to the races down the sideline. No one's going to touch him once he passes the 10. Touchdown.
And he hit that ball out the park, Ben.
It was a great celebration.
That was a really, really good celebration there. All right, so when you look at this play, you will see the left guard here, and I believe the left guard, that is number 79, which I had this, Colt Dietrich.
It could be him or Beal.
It's
there.
Colt Dietrich because I looked it up earlier when I was watching this. But the left guard, Colt Dietrich, you will see him come out and pull on a run to the left. Now, there's a thing you're going to hear today that is a theme throughout this game with UTEP. And if you look in here, I call the box, the ball spotted at the 39, anything down to the 30 really is inside the box on defense. And you've got 4, 7, 10 guys right here in the box. They are there to stop the run. But look at this. The ball's on the left hash mark. And on the right side of the line, you've got 3 blockers. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 defensive players. Right? But on the other side, not counting the center, you got 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers. 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive players. Guess what? You've got numbers to that side because you also have the center. And what they did here, and this is a perfectly drawn up power play, Dietrich pulls out, goes around, takes care of the one floating linebacker remaining, and And Ducker does the rest on this, Ben, as we run it here.
Yeah, and this was kind of like you said, it's going to be a theme all night with the way they stacked the box, and it also showed up in the way they had to cover Quavez Humphreys, which really opened his game up against UTEP on Thursday night also. So I'm glad you brought up the point of the heavy box there and kind of selling out on the run. And even though they are selling out on the run, they're still not able to make a play here. No,
they're not. And the reason being, is because, listen, offensive football is not necessary. None of football is really rocket science, right? It is a numbers game. It is about if you're on offense, where's the weakness of the defense and how are you going to exploit that? It can change every play. As we went over there earlier, the numbers were on the left side, so much so that when he pitches this ball back to Ducker, you can see on the screen, Dietrich, he's out there all alone just hunting for someone to crush, and he finds someone to crush. And Ducker, I don't even know if he got touched on this run. No, I don't think so. Just a tremendous job. Great play call, great execution, Ben. That's the kind of stuff you like to see from your Cats, and that got them off to a touchdown early on in this game. Didn't take long to get another one. They extend that lead to 14-0 in the second quarter when DJ McKinney broke off a nice 23-yard touchdown run.
So ends up being just shy of that first down. Stepped out at the 23. And on the run is McKinney. Bounces off a defender and dives into the end zone for the touchdown. From 23 yards out, McKinney gets Sam Houston's second score.
You're going to hear DJ McKinney a lot today in this, and that's because he had a tremendous game. But again, Ben, as we're going to take a look at the defense here, I think it's very important to see how the Bearcats have done it. This time, you have a 3-wide look, shotgun offset to the left, strong side to the left. Ball's on the right hash. To the left of the right hash, you've got 2, 3, 4 defenders in the box. You got the other 2 guys out there covering receivers. On the right side of the box, you've got 3 defenders, and counting the center, you have 3 blockers. The problem is you're now set up on the weak side for another power run, and it's not even necessarily a power. This is a zone run. Like, if you watch this run, you watch the blocking on this, they are all just blocking what's in front of them right now, Ben. He's picking up the gap. He starts to go left, sees 2 free defensive players, which he should. That's where they had numbers. He cuts it back to the right and found nothing but open grass to run in until he got to about the 10-yard line. Yeah, this run was so impressive. If you look, I know there was an end zone view of it too that the TV broadcast showed. We didn't get that view. Yeah, a little bit later, but the vision of McKinney, he kind of sits there in the backfield for just a split second, finds the right gap, and then that cut right there at the 8 to 10-yard line. I mean, just putting your foot in the ground and making a guy miss. I mean, so the vision there at the line of scrimmage, finding the right gap, and then that jump cut there around the 10-yard line was just so impressive. Yeah, and if you're watching live on the streams, I paused it right there where he planted that foot in the ground, and you could see the defender's body in momentum is completely taking him to the sideline, and McKinney goes, whoop. I don't buy you. Another well-designed play, perfectly executed on that zone blocking right there, Ben. Yeah, just beautiful. And I mean, one thing I'm really starting to notice with Sam Houston, I mean, they scored on that first drive, kind of a scripted drive, and then things kind of sputtered out for about a quarter. But as the games go on, especially against these other G5 teams, they're just really able to lean on people with that run game. And I mean, the time of possession really goes up. The amount of carries really goes up, and it just kind of feels like you can just lean on your opponents and just kind of break them throughout the game. And we'll see more of that there in the second half. Yeah, look, when you've got a big physical advantage and a size advantage over a team, you use that. Sam Houston throws body punches. That's what they do with this running attack. They throw those body punches. Like I said, they wore them down. They did the same to Texas State. Texas, they had to come back against them. It's that body punch nonstop that just takes a defense out of its game. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. I mean, it's just body blow after body blow, and they're gonna
get tallied up there throughout the game, especially against Texas State. I mean, you came back from a 22-point deficit pretty much exclusively running the ball, which just kind of shows their ability to lean on people.
NRG has a habit of that happening in their stadium.
Yeah.
Oh, so UTEP, they recovered a fumble in the end zone, pulled within 14-7. Christian Pavon for the Cats hit a 19-yard field goal. Was that as time expired, Ben?
The field goal in the first half?
The 19-yard field goal.
No, I think there was like 30 seconds left, but it was like a fourth and goal from the 2, and they just decided to kick it, especially since I think we were getting the ball out of halftime too.
Okay. Kind of. I hate if it's a 20-yard field goal, I hate kicking those field goals unless it's a game winner.
I mean,
I just do, man. Like, get me in the end zone.
Yeah, I get that too. I think honestly, we didn't play great in the first half, and I think you just had to take the points because the execution just wasn't very good at that point. You knew you were getting the ball coming out in the second half, so if you can take points and go up by 2 scores, you'll take it. So I think that was kind of the thought process with it.
I agree. I was on a podcast while that game was going on last Thursday night, and as I was watching it, I even said at halftime that was not a pretty half of football for either team.
No, and honestly, it wasn't too surprising on the Sam Houston end. I mean, I think we both had them. I had us winning by 13, I think, and you had us winning by 7-10. I mean, UTEP's obviously an inferior opponent, but you're coming off a 5-day week, and they're coming off a 12-day break, and they're at home. And so really everything was stacked against you. So, I mean, however you find a way to win that game is fine. So the fact it looked a little sloppy wasn't that surprising to me.
No, it wasn't to me either. That's why I predicted the way I did. I thought, and UTEP plays hard, right? Like UTEP may not be good, but they're going to fight for the full 60 minutes. They are going to fight you out there. And so you've got to be ready for that. But the thing is, go into halftime, 20-minute break, Cats come out. And at this point, this third quarter was pure domination, Ben. And it started quick when Hunter Watson found Quavez Humphrey on a 33-yard touchdown pass for a 24-7 lead.
Down here for Sam Houston, up 17-7. Fires over the middle, complete. Humphreys, nobody there. Touchdown.
And Ben, when you watch it, first off, again, we'll look at the line and what it is. It's a 1st and 10. They've got 3 wide, 1 to the left, 2 split out to the far side like normal. You got the running back lined up to the right of the quarterback, the tight end, strong sides on the right side. You look at the box here, and they've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in the box on a 1st down and 10. So they are selling out here. You've got man coverage if you're Hunter Watson. And then the other thing here, this corner down here covering Quavez, if you look up at the top, that corner's got about a yard distance. This corner's giving him 2. You don't give Quavez Humphreys 2 yards because here comes the blitz as expected. And by the way, I think this is that's still Hunter back there.
Yep.
But you watch when you watch the video of this, Quavez, when he scored this touchdown off the line of scrimmage, because the whole purpose of this with that blitz was for the cornerback to jam the receiver and knock him off of a timing route. Problem is when you give him too many yards for a guy like that, you're not going to jam him. And he's got that footwork, got inside the corner, and it was house from there.
Yeah, and this was something really for the first time since week 2, maybe week 3, we saw a team decide to go one-on-one with Quavez Humphreys. Really the last 3 games, Texas State, New Mexico State, Hawaii, there was a safety over the top on him every single play. I don't think he had a catch for 2 of those 3 weeks. And UTEP played him one-on-one almost all night. Very first drive, played him one-on-one. He got a pass interference call. Second drive, he made a catch 40 yards downfield, but there was an ineligible man downfield, so it got called back. Later in the second half, he just had a go route that he beat the guy on, but Hunter missed him. And then they finally connected here. So, I mean, if they want to sell it on the run and go play one-on-one with him, they're going to get beat. And, I mean, that's what we saw against UTEP.
Yeah, I was playing it over and over there because I love watching him just explode there, get cut inside. But then there's something else that caught my eye too. When you look on the far side of the field, that wasn't the only guy open here. There was a little kind of a rub route, set up there, kind of a little pick, if you will. That is definitely offensive pass interference. They didn't even disguise that very well, to be honest with you. But you had a wide open receiver underneath there as well. And so he had his option of two people, and he picked the one that was the guaranteed touchdown.
Yeah, definitely was a guaranteed touchdown. And that little rub route on the other end, they run a ton, especially on first downs, and it feels like it's an automatic 4 to 5 yards, either to Noah Smith or Ife Day. I feel like they're running on first down at least 2 to 3 times a week. And so he had that option over there too if he needed it.
Yeah, and it looked like he was going his number one there. He saw the defense. He saw what was coming. He was looking Quavez the whole way.
Right. And I think the whole Quavez thing, them playing him one-on-one, just kind of shows you really have to pick your poison with this offense. I mean, if you want to load the box and leave our receivers one-on-one, they're going to beat you. If you want to bring safety help and have a lighter box, we're just going to run it down your throat. And so it's really pick your poison if you're the defense.
It really is. And they picked the wrong poison on the next play as well, because this one ended up number 7 on SportsCenter top 10 for the night. It was a 34-yard touchdown pass from Watson to Michael Phoenix II.
This will be a 3rd and 11. Watson. Right side. Open, caught it. What a catch there from Michael Phoenix II down the sideline.
And I removed it. Well, let's add it back. There we go. When you watch this one, Ben, again, we're going to stop at pre-snap and see kind of what Hunter is looking at there. Once again, it's the 3 wide shotgun formation. You've got
this is Jace now. This is Hunter. Sorry, he was the next one.
Yes. So this is still Hunter here on this one. You've got the tight end to the right side, running back to the quarterback's left. 2 wide receivers to the right on the far side of the field. Inside the box here, you've got 5, 6 guys. There's a 7th. Like, you see the guy that's up at the top close to the hash around the 31, 32. He's looking like he's coming on a blitz on this one here. And sure enough, he doesn't. But then you've got 3 guys going to cover the same area there for UTEP, which left one-on-one coverage up top for Michael Phoenix, who has the ability to jump and catch a ball. And by the way, am I the only one that thinks the defensive back there just didn't even see it at all? Like, he was surprised the ball was caught.
Yeah, didn't even turn around.
And you could kind of see it too, because once he catches it, he doesn't immediately go to tackle. Like, he's really shocked at that point right there. Then he's like, oh my gosh.
He's got the ball. And you know what that play is, right, Corey? It's a JUCO to JUCO connection right there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, so's Quavez.
Yeah, there you go. That one is too.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of JUCO. And listen, I watch a lot of it. I'll tell you, there's great Is it football talent that's going to always play at Texas or Oklahoma? No, but that doesn't mean they're not good.
Right. I mean, you're seeing guys step up from the JUCO ranks, and Michael Phoenix has really developed over the last few weeks. And if you're a Cat Fund member, you know why he's playing more, because a certain receiver is redshirting this year, a notable name, so he can come back next year. And so Phoenix has gotten a lot more run, and he's really taken advantage of it and really stepped up.
Kilgore, wide receiver. Michael Phoenix II. That's where he played last. And Ben, that was good, because that put the Cats up 31-7, but it didn't feel necessarily over. They did make a change here at quarterback. They brought Bauer in. You'll hear the announcer say it's a little early. I honestly, at this point, I don't think so. But McKinney put any of that talk to bed with this incredible 59-yard touchdown.
This is a little earlier than I thought we would see a change at quarterback.
And a run right up the gut by McKinney. He's off to the races. And they're not going to get him. Touchdown, Sam Houston.
And once again, we're going to look. Now, this is more a base 3-3-5. Ben. This is more what UTEP is more in their base here. It is a 3rd and 1 shotgun, 3 wide, very, very common set, obviously, for the Bearcats offense. The tight end is on the right side. The running back is to the quarterback's right as well. When you look at the center, and again, you look at the numbers, you've got pretty much 3 on each side. And then as we run this one on third and 1, they're going to blitz the line right here. They're going to blitz everyone. It's an all-out blitz. And they did a good job, by the way, disguising this, I do want to say. I don't think they were expecting the all-out there by the way they were lined up. Then they all take right there, right before the snap. You see them creep up?
Yep.
That's the first sign that, the offensive line just stood their ground, and that's all you had to do at that point. McKinney, what speed he has been.
Yeah, Keeler a couple of weeks ago called him a Chihuahua mixed with like a pit bull. He's got the speed of a Chihuahua and just kind of the ferociousness of the pit bull. And like you said, UTEP brought a lot of pressure. They filled, 5 of the 6 gaps there on the O-line. He found the one they didn't. There's a great block there kind of at the second level by the tight end, and he's off to the races.
He is. There's 2 blocks I really want to single out here. And that is the tight end, like you said, did a great job getting to the second level, taking care of the other one. The other is that right tackle. That right tackle turned, sealed the corner right there.
Yep, right there.
And the other thing, too, the other part, not only did they seal the quarter, but you've got a wide receiver left, and that is that's number 3. That is Simeon Evans. And he was supposed to make a better effort, I think, at trying to get to that guy and block him. It really wasn't great.
Yeah.
But Jace Bauer held him with that fake. He had to respect the run of the quarterback, and by the time he knew who had the ball, McKinney was gone.
Yeah, and you're not catching him.
No, and he's a freshman.
Yeah, and he, I think it was College Football Network or College Football News Network or something, named him the freshman of the week in the country, and rightfully so. 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, also had a couple catches out of the backfield, and he stepped up huge. I mean, especially with John Gentry kind of nursing a little bit of a knee injury. He didn't play against UTEP, giving him kind of an extended bye week, even going into the bye week, so he's got about 3 weeks to heal up, and so definitely stepped up big in his absence, and you've got a lot of depth there at running back. Got to feel good about it.
Do you remember how many touches he had to get those yards?
14, I think. 14 for 138 on the ground.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Good day for a freshman, especially for a freshman. UTEP then scored a couple garbage touchdowns. Christian Pavon hit a 42-yard field goal to cap the scoring. It was a 41-21, very comfortable Thursday night victory. Very nice way to head into the bye week there, Ben. And as we go in to the bye week, we're going to take a look at the current Conference USA football standings right now.
Is this European football?
Wait, yep, that's European football. I thought that was the I didn't put that one, the actual football one in there. Well, then I'm going to back out the way and get Gabe off the screen for a minute. I had the standings, I thought. But either way, Liberty and Sam Houston are at the top.
Yeah. Liberty was hanging on barely.
Yes, Liberty is hanging on. It still appears that's the game that's going to decide the conference championship this year.
Yes, but I also think our next game also is a deciding factor as well, and you can't rule out Jackson State either. So, I mean, that's definitely the headliner, but there's a couple others you got to watch for too. It's
a big one. It's a big one coming up, no doubt about it. But that's for next week. Right now, this is a bye week blowout. We ain't worried about no darn Hilltoppers and their silly helmets.
Googly eyes.
That's right. Googly eyes. Hey, Ben, did you know that we're a podcast on the Republic of Football Network and an extension of Dave Campbell's Texas Football? Please like and subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on the various social media platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, where you will find us at March to the Pod. March, the number 2, the Pod. It's all one word. And if you're on Threads, find us there at the March to the Pod. We also want to give another shout out to our friends over at Eternal Roofing. And once again, if you're watching, you see the numbers and email on the screen. If you're not, you know that's coming soon. So get that pen and paper ready and handy. told you earlier about the free detailed roof inspections, the service. Listen, they can install, repair your roof. We get that. They do roofing, but they also do general contracting. That means they paint the interior or exterior of your home or business. They install your gutters or garage doors. They can install floors, perform any woodworking need, whether it be crown molding or shelf work, repair sheetrock. And I say you need to go ahead and get on that calendar now for the 2025 Christmas lights, man.
Ooh, 2025.
Yeah.
Heck, who knows how much room's left in 24?
It's October 9th. You're not getting 2024 from them. They're booked up.
I know, and it's crazy. We're going to see lights popping up here in like 6 weeks.
Yeah. And so if you hadn't already gotten in there, you might schedule next year. Go ahead and get that one scheduled. And you do that by either emailing taylor@eternalroofingtx.com. You could call the Montgomery office. That's area code 936-215-8539. Or in the Hill Country office, they've got another one there, area code 830-251-5673. They are your commercial and residential roofing and general contracting experts throughout the Hill Country and the Houston area. Oh, we got more than just football going on. We've got, am I allowed to say it, Ben?
You are. This is our show.
It's European football. That's right. Big win this week for the soccer team. They took down a lot. In fact, we're going to have a lot of victories over a lot. I think we're owning that rivalry already.
Yeah, besides them sweeping us in baseball, we've had their number for the most part.
Yeah, those textures, man, they're something. 2-1 in Ruston, too. That was in Ruston is where they played that one. And it started off with Jasmine Marquez. She scored her first goal as a Bearcat. After this penalty that if you're watching, you could see it in the box right here in the 14th minute.
Not a ton of wind, only about 7 miles an hour, says the National Weather Service. It is gusting to about 15 every once in a while as this one gets into Marquez, cuts it back. Marquez pulled back, and it will be a penalty kick coming up for Sam Houston on an obvious foul here on Louisiana Tech, pulling back Jasmine Marquez as Tomio Kuro Yanagi. She's been through the fire before, playing in her 82nd career game. You know she wouldn't make a decision like.
I don't know if that was John Little on the call, but it really sounds like him.
I was going to say it's impressive giving a weather report and commentating a soccer game simultaneously.
If it's John Little, that man can do it all, dude. Like, he really is incredible. But this right here, right now they're just finding the open person. But that right there, that's a pass that set all this up, kind of got out in front. And then the move that Marquez made right there to make a step on the inside. At that point, the defender had no other choice to either give up a goal or give up a PK.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great touch, and then it was a great cross, and like you said, all you can really do is take her down at that point. So
that touch of the right foot, you see her go outside right foot when I run this again, right there, outside right foot, just totally had the experienced defender just like, and it had nothing else to do but grab the jersey and pull her down.
Yep, and ends up in a PK goal.
Ends up in a goal. Ends up 1-1 or 1-0 at that point for Sam Houston. La Tech tied it in the 61st minute, but the Cats, they had an answer in the 86th minute of the contest.
Hansen's serve. Wind pushing it out slightly. Popped over the head of the defensive player there. Pensum trying to mark Andrea Nugent. But Nugent scores her 8th goal of her career.
A weather report, a soccer broadcast, and a tennis reference, Ben, all in the same game.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. And a great play, too. I mean, what a cross from Dana Hansen and then the header from Nugent.
This ball, this entry into the box here, I don't care what level of soccer you're watching, you're going to find very few people ever hit it this right on. There were 2 defenders, one in front, one in behind Nugent here, but Hansen, that's her name, right?
Dana Hansen, yep.
Dana Hansen. She put that ball just over the initial defender, just far enough in front of the back defender that Nugent, and then as the ball, got to talk about the way she headed it in too, right? Like the cross was so gorgeous. But when she heads the ball, she flips her head to the corner, which directs the ball that way, and that's what beat the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, Andrea Nugent really does it all. She's a great defender. She can score it. Probably one of our best players, her, Landry Townsend, Pam Murray, some of the notable names. And to highlight Nugent a little bit more, so we're 3-1 in conference play. We could very well be 1-1-2 without her. Against New Mexico State, I tweeted this out after the game. Against New Mexico State, she had the game-winning goal with under 3 minutes left to win that game, so she had the game winner there. And then she had the game winner here with right at 4 minutes to go. And so both of those games could have easily been ties, and you're 1-1-2, but you've got clutch Andrea Nugent there to come through when you need her, and now we're 3-1.
By the way, if you're watching and you're wondering what in the world is happening, that's me watching my favorite parts of those plays. That's what's happening. Right? Like those are the parts I want to see over and over again. So though I'm in control, those are the parts you get to see. That's just how it works.
Exactly. Hey, I mean, it's a great play. I'll watch it again.
It was. That was a fantastic play. Second game-winning goal of the season for her, if I remember correctly.
Yep. Both in conference play.
Yeah, she has been outstanding. And we take a look at the women's soccer standings in Conference USA up to the minute here. FIU out top with 9 points. They're undefeated. Sam Houston, though, right there. 9 points. They do have the, FIU's got a game in hand on them. But Middle Tennessee there at 9. They've played an extra game. How do you kind of see, where do you think the Cats end up kind of slotting in here, Ben?
I think anywhere from 2 to 4 is going to be where they slot. You've beaten New Mexico State, who's a very good team at 7-5-2. You lost at Kennesaw. That was a really tough one, though. Less than a 48-hour turnaround. You still have some games against teams kind of lower end of the schedule in there, but you've also got some games against some of the more quality opponents. So I think they're going to end up anywhere from 2 to 4. And, man, we've got a great matchup tomorrow night at home against Liberty. Liberty's 2-1-1 in conference, but 10-1-3 on the year. So one of the biggest games of the year in Conference USA tomorrow night in Huntsville at Pritchett Field. I think it's Pups at the Pitch night or Pups at the Pitch night. So bring your dog, have a good time, cheer on the Bearcats. It's a big game. And if you win that one, I think you could start talking maybe winning the regular season conference title. So we'll see, but I think they end up slotting somewhere between the 2 and 4 spot.
This weekend is the biggest women's soccer weekend since they joined Conference USA.
Oh, for sure.
They've got Liberty tomorrow night at 6:30. Then they welcome in undefeated FIU at noon on Sunday. Listen, if you're in the Huntsville area and you're not at Pritchett Field, you're doing it wrong.
Get there.
Yeah, get there. You're going to be doing it wrong because the Cats soccer team they're solid. They have a real chance in these games, and your support will be valuable against these really good teams coming into town.
Yeah, and I think my preseason evaluation looks to be pretty solid. I think I said they were going to be about 4th in the conference, and I thought they were going to find a way to make it to the conference title game, and both of those look very much in play so far.
Volleyball had a couple matches last weekend, but they had one yesterday where they picked up. It was a much-needed Conference USA victory for the volleyball team, also in Ruston over La Tech. And here's the final point of that match.
Dugout. Here's Washington trying to end it. Robinson with a big dig. A scare. Blocked. Win. Sam Houston. They hold on.
I swear to God, that's John Little, man. I swear to God that is. As you watch this point play out, there's nothing truly spectacular, but really good block right there at the end to get the celebration going. That was just very, very, very needed Conference USA win, Ben. And they play them again tonight. They're at at the Johnson Coliseum, and then
in Ruston.
Ruston Coliseum. I'm sorry, they play them again tonight in Ruston, and then they return home Saturday and Sunday. They play New Mexico State at Johnson Coliseum at 1 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Tune into the ESPN Plus broadcast tonight. Let them hear you, and make sure your voice is heard in Johnson Coliseum this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, a volleyball team that I think didn't have a ton of expectations coming into this year. They were picked last in the preseason poll. They were 1-15 last year. I said that they were going to sneak into the conference tournament, probably be an 8 seed. And the fact that 5 games in, you're 3-2, albeit against some of the lesser opponents, I think shows there's being strides made. So you're 3-2, which is a pretty good mark through 5 games. You won 1 conference game last year. So you got to feel pretty encouraged by what you've seen so far. You beat Middle Tennessee twice. You've beaten Louisiana Tech once, and you lost to UTEP twice. UTEP is probably the first or second best team in this league with Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky is a top 25 team typically. So the fact that you're kind of in the mix and in the conversation kind of shows a step forward and definitely progress being made.
There are 3 tiers in this conference right now, and it's pretty clear. You've got the top, UTEP, WKU, and Liberty. You've got the middle, New Mexico State, Sam Houston, Middle Tennessee, Kennesaw. And you've got the bottom 3, Jax, La Tech, and FIU. Do you think it kind of continues that way? Is that really how this conference is going to shake out?
That's probably what it's looking like. And I thought Sam Houston would probably slot in about 8th. Maybe they're kind of in the 6 to 8 conversation, or maybe 5 to 7 conversation, which is really good to see. But yeah, I mean, and there's definitely some winnable games there. You haven't even played Jax State or FIU yet. You've got one more against La Tech. So there's definitely more winnable games out there. No reason why you can't be a middle of the pack team, which if you would have told me at the beginning of this season, I might've been a little surprised, but like I said, it's good to see progress moving forward.
Again, they return home this weekend, Johnson Coliseum, 1 o'clock Saturday and Sunday against New Mexico State. Need you out there, need you loud. We also, earlier in this show, Ben went ahead and started promoting Cat Fun, But, hey, Ben, why don't we go back to that, though, and tell them, like, if you watch the intro, you see the Took Back Texas hat. That was a really cool thing, right? Like, that really got a lot of people caused a stir. And if you're a Cat Fund member, hey, now's your chance. You got a chance to kind of get something.
Yeah, we've got stickers that are going out to all of our Cat Fund members that got mailed out this week, Monday and Tuesday. And then we're also working on, like I said, the hat earlier. We've got the rights to that as of this morning, actually. So be on the lookout for that. That's not just for Cat Fund members, but for everybody. All proceeds going to athletes on the football team, which will be cool. We've got our men's basketball tournament, golf tournament and auction next Friday night. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We've got a lot of teams signed up, a lot of whole sponsors for golf. It's been a big success. We've got a lot of really great auction items, about 15 live auction items and about 20 to 25 different silent items. A lot of really cool stuff that you want to get in on. So get your tickets today, cat-fund.com/golf for all the golf information. If you just want to sign up and become a regular member, cat-fund.com is the place to go for as little as $10 a month. So lots of exciting things happening. Really big week for us, especially with the hat stuff, golf tournament stuff coming up. So going to be a lot of fun.
It is. It's going to be a ton of fun. And we want to take one more moment here and tell you about our friends at Eternal Roofing one more time here. Look, they're specialists in commercial roofing. We've told you they can do your roof of your home. They've told you they can do general contracting. They can do commercial roofing if you own a business. They can accommodate your HVAC system, any other roof equipment you might have, while ensuring minimal disruptions to your operations during the installation or repair. Go to eternalroofingtx.com. When you go there, look at the gallery. They have a gallery of recent projects that they've done, and you will see it is just tremendous work. While you're at eternalroofingtx.com, you can email Taylor and get him started for you, or you could give him a call if you're in Montgomery County. That's area code 936-215-8539. Hill Country office area code 830-251-5673. 3. Once again, thank you to our friends and our presenting sponsor at over at Eternal Roofing. Hey, Ben, we don't have a game this week, but we do have some football. You know what?
do.
You know what? How about we start with the standings that I thought were earlier? How about that?
There we go.
They are
American football up on the screen.
American football right there. I tell you what. You got Liberty at the top, 3-0, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, Jack State. I think I'm not necessarily surprised by anything I see yet in the conference.
Not at all. And similar to soccer, I think there's some tiers here. Jack State might be working their way into Tier 1. We'll see how they look tonight, but I think Tier 1 is Liberty, Sam Houston, Western Kentucky. Got that middle tier with Jack State, FIU, Louisiana Tech, and Middle Tennessee. And then that bottom third with New Mexico State, Kennesaw State, and UTEP. So picking up with this midweek CUSA action. Got one tonight with New Mexico State and Jack State, but kind of 3 tiers similar to soccer.
Yes. Yes, there are. And now we're going to take a look at some PFF. Now, this one might be difficult to see if you're watching on a small screen. This is the overall. I wanted to kind of give a vision of what Sam Houston looks like in comparison to the rest of Conference USA. Right now, PFF grades overall, Liberty is by far the best team. And I think FIU being up there may be a little bit of a surprise for me, followed by Western Kentucky and Sam Houston, then Jacksonville State. That's not a surprise. It is interesting to see how the grades play out compared to how the games play out.
Yeah, and I'll make 2 points there. Florida International, their coverage grade is a 91. I think part of that is they had 5 interceptions against Central Michigan in one game. So that's going to inflate them a little bit. And then Middle Tennessee is kind of deflated on the other end. I think they've played 3 Power 5 schools at this point. They played Memphis, who isn't really a Power 4 school, but kind of is. They played Ole Miss, and then I forget the third one they've played, but they've had a brutal schedule. So I think they're a little better than what they show here. So I think the opponent definitely has something to do with a little bit of it at this point in the year.
They better hope so with that pass blocking grade at 23.3, man. That is
That's half of what ours was last year.
What's Kennesaw's problem right now down there? They're at 36 pass blocking.
Kennesaw just is not good. And
they're just not good. Okay. You know, and then I looked at this. I like to look at pass block, run block, right? That tells us our offensive line stuff. Sam Houston, they are right about where we thought they would be, mid-pack of the conference. Your thoughts on that?
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, sorry, you sputtered out there for a second on my end, but I got you now. So it's a middle of the pack offensive line according to the grades, exactly what I thought it would be coming into this year. And I said if they could just get average to above average offensive line play with the weapons they have, they're going to be really dangerous on offense, and that's exactly what it's been so far.
It certainly has. Let's see. We're going to look at this one here. This is offensive overall. So we're going to go through all the different parts kind of and look at quarterback play and give some grades as we go through position group grades, if you will. But we're going to start first looking at overall offensive grade. And they have Liberty as the best offense, followed right there by Sam Houston, Western Kentucky, Jacksonville State, then FIU. Anything stand out to you or surprise you about the offensive grades, Ben?
Not a ton, really. I'm surprised Liberty is that high because they have struggled at times. And then obviously our run grade is very high, and I think that makes a lot of sense to people. 4 straight games of over 250 yards passing the last 4 games. So nothing that's too much of a shocker. Western Kentucky being third makes a lot of sense. Jacksonville State's run grade being very high makes a lot of sense. So I think it all pretty much lines up pretty evenly to what I thought it would be. I thought Western Kentucky and Sam Houston might be 1, 2, and Liberty might be 3, but it is what it is. I think it's imagine how good that offense and rushing attack would be if that offensive line blocked 10
10 points better on the grade up to like a 66.
Right.
Right now, I mean, the run grade's a 77.1. The run block grade is 56.2. That tells me the running backs are really good on this team.
They are very good, and they are deep.
They are, and they have been doing outstanding things. Overall defense here, first, before we get going into the position groups, Liberty again at the top, Florida International at the top. That one might surprise some people. Sam Houston, middle of the pack, 73.9. I think that's about fair.
Yeah, it's pretty close. I think the run blocking grade took a massive hit, or the run defense grade took a massive hit with that UCF game. Just kind of got run over in that one, but that's what UCF does, and that's what they want to do. And so I think it's pretty fair. Our coverage has been outstanding, though. I think the back end of our secondary has just been great. Maybe the strength of the team, definitely the strength of the defense, and it shows up here with the 78.8 coverage rating. So that does not come as a surprise to me.
We will see more of that as we get into position groups. Speaking of position groups, quarterbacks, Hunter Watson, passing direction and completions here. When he is at the line of scrimmage to 10 yards, he completes quite a bit, but most of his attempts are down the middle of the field. That's something that I would start watching teams to maybe use a little more zone defense and take some of that away, try to get him into some interceptions in there.
Yeah, and he's been vulnerable to it a little bit. Love the breakdown here. I'm still kind of like digesting all of it. But yeah, definitely some interceptions up the field. You see 5 of them, which I think is all of his interceptions there.
Look, when he throws beyond 20 yards, he's not good, right? He's 3 for 22. That was quick math, with 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. That's just not good.
And I don't even know if it's the arm talent or the arm strength that isn't good. I think it's been the decision making. It's a lot of, okay, this guy's open, he's beat the corner, but the safety's right there over the top, and so it's not going to be completed. I think it's been a lot of
He's not reading the whole field.
Yeah, and I think he's gotten better the past 2 weeks, and I think that comes with time, especially with him being injured all summer, missing some of training camp, missing some of spring practice, and so hopefully he can continue to get better on that, because if you look at it in the 10 to 20 yards and then at the line of scrimmage, I mean, he's been very good. Passer ratings are much, much higher, much better.
And you know, we saw that defense, right? You have a good run game. Quarterback has a hard time throwing down the field. You're going to get the box filled within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, right? So that's that 0 to 20. They want you to throw deep. That's what UTEP wanted them to throw deep. The problem is you can't man up on the receivers because they'll beat you one-on-one
right
before they get deep.
Yeah, so I mean that's an interesting breakdown and analysis. I hadn't seen this before, but it makes sense. I mean, I knew that the downfield passing had been a struggle, but not this much of a struggle. So definitely going to be something to watch going forward.
The producer did send you the slides I was going to use.
I opened it and nothing came up, so I tried.
Maybe I need to. Oh, I bet the producer didn't have it set to share. It's probably the producer's problem. Yeah. Of course, you could have said, "Hey, Corey, I couldn't read it."
Made it this
whatever.
far, just winging it.
That's right. Jace Bauer, he has not had, obviously, as many opportunities down the field. He is 2 for 5 with 2 touchdowns and no picks. I mean, it's hard to say here. When we go quarterback grade, let's go with Hunter Watson on this. What grade at midseason are you going to give the QB?
I'm going to give him a B+. There's been very, very high highs. There's been a couple low lows, but I think for the most part, he's been steady, fits what this offense needs. I think if he could limit the turnovers, I would move him up to an A. I think he's had 7 turnovers, I'm pretty sure, 2 fumbles, 5 picks. That's been my biggest knock on him. If he would have had the turnovers down, I think he's an A, but I'm going to go a B+ for him. For the first time since Eric Schmid, we've got a quarterback that can move the ball and score points. And so 7 turnovers is a lot, but just being able to see us score, I'm going to give him a grade of B+.
It is nice to have an average quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's slightly above average, but just to have a competent quarterback. And
well, you and I will differ on that. I say average. I give a good solid C grade just because I want to see that better decision making down the field, right? Like that. Those are the things that, unless it's already 3rd and long and you're basically just throwing a punt down the field, those things will hurt you because you're taking away possessions.
yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, the 7 turnovers is a lot. Maybe it's just the recency bias of us scoring 30+ points every game and kind of wanting
it's nice to see offense for a change.
Oh, yeah. And
But
it's not,
quarterbacks weren't a C last year either.
well, and also our quarterback last year had to throw the ball 50 times, which I don't think suited him or the offense as well as it could have. I mean, Shoemaker did the best he could. And he figured it out there towards the end. And I think another thing that kind of inflates the grade for Watson with me is, I mean, that Texas State game, he controlled the final 7 minutes of that game and won a ball game. I mean, that was his drive.
And he has that ability. Then he has the ability to absolutely blow another 7 minutes of the game earlier, right? Like that's why I see that the ups and the downs means that he's pretty average ain't bad, dude. Dilfer won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, and
average is 5-1, and you're getting ready to clinch a bowl game. That's what average has gotten this offense right now. I think that's much better than anticipated.
Well, and I think if you just evaluate him as a quarterback, I definitely see the average grade. I think if you throw him in this offense, I think he's above average because this offense doesn't require the standard quarterback to stand in the pocket and throw it 30 times a game. If you're just looking at him as a typical quarterback, definitely average. But in this offense, I think it elevates him a little bit.
These passing numbers are in this offense, even with his rushing ability, right? Like he's got the ability to pull the ball. It's another dimension. It's another weapon. But when you purely look at how he throws the ball, I'm giving him a C, a solid C this year. I would say probably C- passing, B-, right? Like right on that, right on the border, like, 78 to 82 maybe for the rushing attack, probably more up in the B range. Average it out, I get a solid C.
I'll take it. And I think he's only going to improve because I think his best weeks have been the last few weeks that we've seen him.
Oh, yeah. No, he's only going to get better the more he does this. That's the great thing about it.
Yep.
When we look at rushing grades this year, okay, when you're looking at the rushing attack, first off, to have your quarterback leading in attempts is an interesting stat, but through 5 games, that's only 75. These running backs aren't playing just a ton of snaps every game.
And you got to love that if you're a Sam Houston fan. I mean, these guys are going to be fresh down the stretch. And
look at the yards per attempt, 5.9, 5.3, 6.2, Gentry at 2.9. Touchdowns, my goodness, there's 12 touchdowns. Like you said, remember the fumbles, right? Like that's what 4 fumbles for Hunter Watson. That's a problem. But for the other 3 running backs that have mainly carried the ball, only 1. This rushing attack is really, really solid. Yeah,
and they're just going to lean on people. And the emergence of Jay Ducker has been great too. I mean, he's kind of become the lead guy after, especially with Gentry kind of hobbled the last few weeks. So Ducker's kind of taking the load, and then when Gentry gets back, he can probably step in and take some more snaps, even things out. And so that's a really good sign that you're able to even out the reps.
Then you've got the speed of McKinney. He's actually leading in yards there with 351 over Ducker. He's got 3 more yards on 20 less carries. He's just so electric and dynamic out there.
Got the home run potential, that's for sure.
He certainly does. Then we go look at receiving core. We take the targets, Quavez Humphreys and Ife Adegi. No surprise, they are the top 2, tied at the top for targets. Noah Smith is got 21, Simeon Evans 19. You said we're going to see a lot more Michael Phoenix. So far, he's had 8 targets. But when you look at what these receiving core has done when they get a chance to catch the ball outside of some dropsies out of Quavez, this is a pretty good receiving core.
Yeah, it's very good, and it's very deep. And I think that top 5 there is, I mean, it could be the best group in the league. And even distribution between all of them pretty much. I mean, Quavez kind of standing up with the yards and touchdowns, but any of those 5 guys could go get it, and you got to feel comfortable with them out there.
I wonder, just spitballing, the drop grade of 53.7. It's low. That's very low for a wide receiver. I wonder how much of that is due to him being on the receiving end of some of those deep passes that Watson's trying, maybe shouldn't try, things of that nature.
Yeah, well, I know one of them for sure was UTEP, and Quavez had the guy beat, and it just hit on the very end of his fingertips. I mean, it hit his hands, but I mean, it would have been a near impossible catch. So that could have been one. And then the deep threat aspect, like you said, I mean, that's definitely going to play a part in it too.
Another thing I want to say here, Elijah Sohn has a pass blocking grade of 61.2, but if you want a running back that can block, you got Jay Ducker here, 71.4 on his pass blocking grade. That is incredible as well.
Yeah, he's a big back. He's a big back that can really stand in there, and he can take the linebacker running full speed at him and block him. And so that is something I have seen, and it's definitely showing up here.
Okay, running back grade. What do you got?
Running back or wide receiver?
Well, I don't think we gave a grade to the running back.
Okay, running back group, I'm saying an A.
Wide receiver room.
Wide receiver room, I'm going to say a B. I would like to see Noah Smith get a little more involved. And I don't know how much of a thing that is on him. Maybe it's just kind of the scheme and the game plan and the game script and the way things have gone. But I would like to see Noah Smith get involved a little more. And I think this wide receiver room has another gear to get to. I think they've been good, not great. So I'm going to give the running backs an A and wide receiver group a B.
Trying to motivate them guys, aren't you? All right. Pass blocking grades. We look here. James Dawn has been really good, 74.5. Markendrick Beal has been solid, 68.3. Luke Eckert, I think we've talked about that before. He has struggled when it comes to pass blocking. But, I mean, overall, when you've got the top 5 offensive linemen there that have played the most snaps, and then you add in Elijah Sohn, I'm going to say you've got an average to getting close to above average pass blocking group on the offensive line.
And I think it's only getting better too, because Orion Irving is back, so he can slot in there at right tackle. He's getting a lot more reps there. And Cole Dieterich has really emerged the past couple of weeks. And he's another redshirt freshman guy similar to McKinney, who's really stepping up and filling a role. And so he's able to kind of split time there with Eckert at left tackle, and you've got more depth with Orion Irving coming back. So I think it's a group that's only going to continue to get better.
I need to get my eyes checked. I did not see that as Dieterich when I looked at the roster. Just saying. Run blocking, James Dawn. Again, he's pretty good, 55.4 on that. Rhett Larson, he's done well. Markendrick Bill, okay. This is probably, if there's one area I would like to see improved by the offensive line and tied in there with Elijah Sohn, is that run blocking.
Yeah, I mean, the grades aren't great, but honestly, if you watch the game, I think they're doing a pretty good job, especially when they go to that 12 formation with 2 tight ends. I think they've been pretty good, and it's hard to – I mean, when you got Fernando Garza and Elijah Sohn out there with this O-line, you got both tight ends kind of pulling. It's hard for these teams to stop it. I mean, they might not be the best or most perfect blocks, but this team's got size and depth, and I think they've done a really good job. And as great as your running backs are, the fact that you've run for 250 plus yards 4 games in a row, I think part of that has to do with the O-line too. I don't think it's all the running back.
Hey, look, they get in the way. They're moving bodies, right?
Yeah,
I'm not saying they're not. I'm saying though that, you know, if they would grade out, and I don't know what goes into the grades either. That's the other
right. Yeah.
But, okay. So O-line, what grade do you give the offensive line?
I'm going to give it a B. Also, I think there's definitely room for improvement, but you're scoring 30 plus points a game. You're running it down people's throats, putting up 250 yards plus a game. I'm going to give it a B. The production's been great, but I think we can all see there's a little room for improvement. So I'll go with B also.
Yeah, I was thinking right about that. What about the Elijah Sohn tight end?
Yeah, Sohn and Garza, it's hard to grade them just because, and I talked I asked Keeler about this in his presser 2 weeks ago, that tight ends just haven't been very involved in the pass game, and he said they just haven't really had to go to it yet. They've got packages for it if needed, so I feel like I'm just grading them strictly based on their run blocking abilities. But I'm going to give them a B plus. I think when you go to that 12 formation with two tight ends, one running back, I mean, their ability to get outside with their speed and their size, I mean, it is hard to get around those guys on the edge, and so they've done a great job setting the edge. And I'm gonna give them a B plus. Would like to see them more involved in the passing game, but just from a run block perspective, I think they've done pretty well.
I think they've done pretty well all around. Run block, pass block. You know, they've done and when they asked upon, they've caught I think 5 or 7 passes is what.
Yeah, I think Garza's got 1 and Sone's got 4 or 5 receptions. So I mean, they've been involved a little bit.
Yeah, a little. Okay. Well, now we go over to the defensive side of the ball, and we start looking at the pass rush grades. And Javon Leon and Chris Murray from Wichita Falls are at the top. There's no surprise there. Kendrick DeJour, I know you've talked about him quite a bit too, is standing out. His grade shows that as well. Interior defensive lineman Richard Outland grades out at a good 64.8. Seth Mason, 66. I mean, as far as the rushing goes, the defensive line goes right here, which is kind of what we're going to grade on this one. Pass rushing, ability to stop the run. There wasn't really a good run blocking grade stuff on here, or run stopping here for us to really look at. What do you think about the D-line so far this year?
I've been so impressed by this group. I think it also kind of highlights the job that the staff has done this offseason. You lost pretty much everything there on the interior from last year. Lost by far your 2 best players who played just a ton of snaps, and I think you've done a great job developing Richard Outland to be able to contribute. Before he got lost for the year, Matthew Arabasala was doing a great job. Found Denver Warren in the portal, Quincy Wright in the portal, Seth Mason has developed well. So I think they've just done a great job. Don't show up a ton in the stat sheet, but they've just done a good job of plugging up space. And then on the edge, I mean, Chris Murray has just been incredible this year. I'm pulling up his stats right now, but he's got 12 tackles, 6 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles. And we're only 5 weeks into the season. And so, I mean, the guys on the edge have just been awesome. Murray's been great. Leon's been incredible too. Kendrick DeJour has really flashed, especially in the pass game, in the pass rush. Not a ton on the run, but in the pass rush has been great. Bryson Hayes has really flashed. Isaiah Nixon has been hurt a little bit, but even he's done a good job. So I love what this group has done, and I think it really just shows how good of a job the staff has done at developing, but also recruiting in the portal.
Okay, Professor Sorrells, what grade do you got?
I'm going to go A-. I think outside of that UCF game where they kind of just got run over, the defensive line is dominated for the most part. I think maybe the first quarter against Texas State too, you could take out. But minus those 5 quarters this year, I think this group's been dominant. Going to give it an A-. So that's what I'll say. I think they've really disrupted the game in a lot of ways, forcing fumbles, TFLs, sacks. I think they've just done a great job.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that there's no other way to talk about that. All right, so we're going to look at coverage, linebackers, and defensive backs. One grade for the linebackers coming up here in a minute. The professor will give us 1 grade for the DBs coming up in a minute as well. When you look at coverage grades, David Fisher leads the way with 71.9, but I mean, he's a corner. The 2 safeties are grading above 69. Jimerson is solid there at 60. I think your linebackers being in the 50s and 60s, that's not bad right there. And Mon Allen, 65. Armstead, 65. Pretty good group you've got here going, Ben.
Yeah, I think especially the back 5 with the nickel, 2 safeties, and 2 corners have been the strength of the defense. And Isaiah Cash has just been one heck of a pickup there at the buzzer from Houston Christian. Caleb Weaver, I think, is the MVP of the defense in my mind to this point. He's just been incredible. And then Fisher and Armstead, your top 2 cover corners, grading out pretty well. Jimerson, not as great in coverage, which I can see a little bit, but I think out of our DBs, he's the best run stopper. Does a great job blowing up screens, very physical at the line of scrimmage. And so I think he offers a little bit more there. But yeah, really, really impressed by our secondary and what they've done so far.
This defense is thriving under Skylar Cassidy.
It is. I mean, against UTEP, I think they had 100 total yards through about 3 quarters before they kind of pulled the starters. And so, I mean, they were just kind of enforcing their will against UTEP the other night.
We got a couple comments in while we were going through those. Brian Judson Jr. watching, I believe, on YouTube. Thank you, Brian, for watching and for commenting. He said, Watson going to look light years better throwing the ball by game 12. Here, we'll put it up there. Yeah. Then he was looking against Texas State and UCF. Glad we stuck it out with him instead of killing his confidence by pulling him.
Yeah, it's a great point. I actually had a couple people talking at probably about halfway through the second quarter against UTEP. I mean, Watson was struggling, but I was telling him, like, if Watson's your guy, you got to ride him through the highs and the lows. Every quarterback's not going to be perfect for all 4 quarters. And so you've got a great backup in Bauer, but if Watson's your guy, you got to ride him. And so they did, had a great second half. Glad we kept him in there. And then Noah Smith, I talked about this too, would like to see him get a little more involved. And I think you will. If you look last year, his first 3 games, I think he had 70 receiving yards. And then the last, 9 games, he had like 800 or 700. And so he's gotten a little more involved the last few weeks. There are just a lot of mouths to feed, both at running back, wide receiver.
I was going to say there's only so many touches you can have right now. And let Brian's question, second comment was they want to see more Noah Smith involved in the offense. Feels like they're underutilizing him. I get it, but my goodness, Ben, you've got so many. There's only so much that this offensive coaching staff can do to get these guys involved.
There's only one football, and not a lot of people know too, but
they didn't know. Not a lot of people know there's one football in the game, Ben.
Well, they might not know that, but Smith missed the back half of spring and a lot of summer with a knee scope. So didn't miss as much time as Hunter Watson did, but he might not have been exactly where he wanted to be to start the year. I think we've started to see him come on a little bit. And as teams focus in more on the run game, Quavez, Humphreys, I mean, if they're going to play Noah Smith one-on-one, he's going to beat him. So, yeah, I think he's going to get more involved throughout the year.
Yeah, he might not be fully back to 100% yet
either. He might just now be getting there.
Yeah, he in this bye week might be that time where he's like, man, I feel the best I have all season.
Yeah, and him and a couple other starters were in street clothes there in the part of the fourth quarter against UTEP when you were up 30. And I asked about it. It just kind of sounded like a maintenance thing. You're up 30, no need to keep them in there. Take the pads off. Get a little bit of extra rest going into the bye week, especially with that being the 5th game in a row that you've played. So it doesn't sound like there's any long-term concern. It was just more of a maintenance thing for some of those guys.
What you got going next Wednesday at 4:00?
Be driving to Huntsville.
You're not going to be doing a podcast?
We could do a short one.
Next Wednesday at 4:00?
Well, we play at 6.
Yeah. What, do you want to do it earlier?
It's good with me.
Or do you want to do it after? And see if we can get maybe do what?
We could.
Well, what I'm saying is, after the game.
Cats After Dark.
Cats After Dark. Jump on here. Get some people's comments on the game, what they see. That's a big one. Who knows? We might start something here that I don't know that we could do every single weekend, but at least sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great production meeting that I'm sure we'll carry on to.
So production meeting, and all of you now are involved. If you're watching or listening, thank you for putting your 2 cents in. So we will not have a full podcast next week, but we will record and put out I can't say we will have a podcast next week. Let me say
in some way, shape, or form.
In some way, shape, or form. It will not be the normal like you're used to. We're going to come on live after the game. You're welcome to join us on Twitter, Facebook, or on YouTube. put in your comments. Let us know your questions. We'll field them. We'll talk about it after the game against Western Kentucky that starts at 6 o'clock next Wednesday night. Man, that sounds like fun to me, Ben. I don't know about you.
Yeah, let's do it.
It'll be Cats After Dark, and we'll talk football. And if you, hey, it doesn't have to just be American football, okay? You European football fans can jump in there as well.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be in my truck driving and just talking, or if I'll be in the press box on the field. Who knows where I'll be, but I'll be there.
You've got the link to jump in here, man.
There you
That's
go.
all. That's all you need. All we need is a voice.
Yep, exactly.
I'll find a photo. Don't worry about that.
Will it be a good one? We'll see.
I have no idea what I'll find right now, but I'll find a photo.
Something off the internet.
Something's out there. I know. The interwebs has a lot.
Yep.
Hey, thank you to everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. We will be back here next Wednesday night after the conclusion of the game. Exactly how soon after the conclusion, I'm not sure yet. We'll have to have a little more production meeting off air to discuss what time. But we'll be on there. We'll run half hour till you're out of questions. Until then, I'm Corey Hogue. He's Ben Sorrells. Thank you so much for listening. Without you, none of this is possible. Ben, big game next Wednesday night. Until we talk to you again, you got to lead us to a victory on that one. What you got?
Yeah, eat 'em up, Cats, and let's go get a big victory over Big Red.
Let's go get us some Big Red.